Dzień dobry, assalamu alaikum, ciao, konnichiwa, guten morgen, bonjour. Good morning, good morning, good morning. It's Ken at 10. How are you today? We're here to talk about property things. And if you haven't been before, welcome. We're James Alexander Estate Agents. We are in Norbury, which is to the north, we have Streatham, and to the south, we have Croydon. Zone 3 commuter area. And thanks very much for joining us. If you're back again for another edition, then thanks very much for joining us once more. We broadcast every day at 10 a.m, talk about all things property and everything that's really going on. James Newman sat behind me there. It's another Brexit, isn't it? We lost. There we are. Nil point. What can you say about that? Just so I put him up there because that's probably the last time he's ever going to be seen on TV, isn't it? Poor chap. Imagine that. Anyway, let's get on to property headlines. What's going on? A few things. First of all, there are 38 days to go before the stamp duty deadline. Just 38. So realistically now, if you're obtaining mortgage finance or if you're buying leasehold, the chances are you're not going to make it if you set out today. I know many solicitors will have a good go at it, but you really do need to be very lucky to have that done right away. Chances are you're going to miss the deadline. Doesn't mean you shouldn't buy. You should buy because the time is right for you. You should buy because the market's still strong and active and is not expected to fall off a cliff. And actually, on the subject, Britons are turning to auctions is one of the headlines today in the Express. And we've got an auction coming up this week on Thursday. Great thing about the auctions is that we can still guarantee that you'll complete within the stamp duty deadline time. So if you're around this Thursday, check out networkauctions.co.uk. And the auction there is live and online on the 27th. That's this Thursday. And we've got a fantastic lot in there in Thornton Heath. Lovely little house in Winterbourne Road, and that should do very well. Let's talk about other general property headlines as well. Pundits predicting increases. No change there really, is there? But let's go through them. There's one from the Daily Mail. They do love a property headline, the Daily Mail. Usually a ridiculous one, but this one seems a bit more sensible. Britain's property market boom is set to continue as government support for the market continues, and those who have managed to save money are looking for more living space, according to a Reuters poll. Prices will rise 5% this year, and then they found a sharp increase, which originally said that the market would flatline. Next year and in 2023, they'll rise 3%. And it says the aftermath of the pandemic is likely to see sustained housing market strength in 2022 as a result of the changed lifestyles and tens of billions of accidental savings made during the pandemic. It's true, there really is. The pandemic really, it's a game of two halves, isn't it? You know, on the one hand, we've had some people in awful circumstances, people passing away, redundancies and everything else. And then there are others that have continued their working from home but had nothing to spend money on and actually have been cash rich through it, you know, so it's a really interesting time in that regard. England's most in-demand neighbourhoods have been pointed out by the Daily Telegraph. We got Hamptons have found the areas where properties are selling with the highest number of offers per listing. The top 10 in-demand neighbourhoods in England are primarily concentrated in the south, yay, as well as Yorkshire and the Humber, where bidding wars are pushing up house prices. South Oxfordshire is the most in-demand local authority. On average, each sale agreed so far this year has received 6.1 offers. Do you know what? We're not far behind that, I must say. But then, you know, we pitch stuff competitively in order to make sure we get the best for our client. Sheffield was one of the second most in-demand locations in England. So far this year, homes have sold with an average of 5.9 offers for sale. Yeah, we can echo that. Mortgages. Let's get on to mortgages. First things first, this is not mortgage advice. You need to speak to a qualified financial advisor if you wish to get that. We're just talking about headlines. So these are some articles in the London Evening Standard, the Observer and the Sunday Times. Interesting, first-time buyers will be offered 100% mortgages, the return of the 100% mortgage. And this is by the UK's biggest lender, Lloyds. Lloyds Bank's lender hand mortgage allows first-time buyers in England and Wales to buy a home costing up to £500,000 without a deposit. It just goes to show how the money is freeing up, though, doesn't it, when we got 100% out there. Even so, buyers will need a family member with substantial savings to stump up 10% of the property price as security in order to access the product. Meanwhile, Nationwide is now offering the cheapest mortgage rate on the market for borrowers with a 5% deposit. Nationwide's 2-year 3.49% fixed rate for first-time buyers and home movers has a 1,499 fee, or there's a free version at 3.84%. You'd have to do that calculation backwards to be sure what it meant to you, depending on your mortgage size. The chances are 9 times out of 10 it's worth paying the fee. The best buy rate for both remortgages and home buyers is 0.99% on a 2-year deal. Financial data firm Moneyfacts says there have not been cheaper 5-year fixed rate mortgages on offer for at least 14 years. Can you believe that? So it's a good time to fix your rate, although this is not financial advice, remember. Barratt have bought back some flats after this cladding scandal. This is interesting and good news for you if you're trapped in one of those developments where Barratt might buy them back. Here we are. We've got one in the Times. It's become the first major developer, Barratt that is, to buy back flats from the leaseholders affected by the cladding scandal. It comes after the house builder discovered failures in the reinforced concrete frame at Cityscape in Croydon. The group has now bought the flats from leaseholders at the 95 flat development and is buying the freehold from a company controlled by Vincent Cengiz. He's the guy that did Hyde Park development, super rich. Apparently owns the freehold there. As well as many other freeholds, no doubt. Builders hit by material shortage. It's an interesting one in the Telegraph. Shortages of materials have pushed inflation in the construction industry to its highest level since records began 25 years ago. Brian Berry, the chief executive of the Federation of Master Builders, warned the price increases risk hampering the sector's post-pandemic recovery. He said the steep rise in material prices is a particular concern for local builders. The issue is widespread, impacting timber, steel, plastic, insulation and cement, to name but a few. Well, that's going to hit with development prices, isn't it, as well? People are going to have to factor that in when they're building their new kitchens and bathrooms. Interesting. So that's it for the news headlines today. As I said, there's only 38 days left now. Just 38 days before that stamp duty deadline. So, it's getting to the point where if your sales proceeding, I wish you well, I wish you luck, I hope it goes through for you. As I've said for a while now, I suspect by the end of the stamp duty deadline, when we get to the end of the month, it's going to be one of those things, the end of June that is. It's going to be one of those times where some sales are going to fall through, some vendors are going to withdraw, some purchasers will withdraw, and some bits in between. People will be asking for price reductions in some circumstances. And vendors will often be saying to their agents, hang on a minute, should I accept that price reduction? Has the market fallen? And in most cases, the answer will be a resounding no, definitely not. And then the choice is, do you remarket or accept the hit that the buyer's trying to force upon you? And that depends on how good a deal the property you're looking at is, doesn't it? Because if you lose 15,000 off the one you're buying on the one hand, but if you feel like you're gaining more than that the other side, then it's a no-brainer. It still works for you, doesn't it? So I always say, don't just look at what you're selling, look at what you're selling and buying. The difference between those two figures, that's the key to what a deal you've got. Even if you sell at a bit of a discount, if you're buying at more of a discount, you've still won. Bear that in mind. So that's it for today. Look after yourself, your family and your friends. Have a fantastic day, and we'll be back tomorrow with another Ken at 10. Till then, ciao.